Our first guest today is Aimee Allison. Aimee is the founder and president of She the People, an organization that is devoted to getting women of color, including those who are cis and trans, elected to political office. Aimee is also the former president of Democracy in Color and the host of the Democracy in Color podcast. Aimee is also a fitness queen for real. So if you have other questions outside of politics that deal with, I don't know, weight training or cardio or endurance, I'm sure that she can handle those as well. But whatever it is, Aimee is a powerhouse, and we are thrilled to be joined by Aimee now. Aimee, thank you so much for joining tonight.
Thanks for having me, Imara.
Did you power lift today?
No, this is my goal, 100 push-ups a day. I can't do them all at one time, but since I have no access to my gym, that's how I'm started staying in touch with my, I'm 50, so it's not like, it takes work. So you got every day to do something.
Yeah, and every time you say that you're 50, I don't believe it.
Yeah, we got to stay strong, especially because we're so close to this big election. We got to have an outlet for ourselves, to feel like we're personally strong, and also we're strong enough to face the moment. So that's why I lift.
That's exactly right. Well, you gave us a great lead in. What right now, before we turn to some of the granular issues that are really important, what in your mind is the state of play of the election right now? Kind of where are we in this moment?
Well, we're 95 days out. Joe Biden's our nominee. So we started out with one of the most diverse set of candidates in the primary for president. And we have Joe Biden, who's not even the most progressive, but he's going to announce his VP pick. And we've been spending a lot of time really opening up the political imagination of the American people and saying what women of color should be VP on the top of the ticket. And now there are Black women, other women of color who are being vetted, and we'll see in just a few days, next week, who's going to run alongside Joe Biden. The reason it's important is because we did a series of listening sessions. It included trans women from battleground states, because we got to win remember, Hillary Clinton, if we look back to 2016, won the popular vote. That's not what's at issue for 2020. What's at issue is that in certain key states where people of color are the majority, women of color are the key, that places like Arizona and Texas, Georgia and Florida, we need high vote turnout. So we did a series of listening sessions over the last few weeks, and we heard loud and clear that there's an enthusiasm gap amongst women of color who are the most likely Democrats in the core of the multiracial coalition. And so we got to have something to work with. The thing to work with, we believe, is a Black woman on the ticket. So that's where we're at. And today was the day that Trump floated on Twitter that he, hey, should we move election day? He's been saying, hey, vote by mail is vote fraud, which we know is not true. So he's a real threat. And that's where we stand right now. 150,000 people have died from COVID and record unemployment. It's just a big mess. And with 95 days, women of color are going to be the key to making sure that we can get out of the mess that we're in right now.
Right. One of the things that you've said consistently is that She the People is about creating a vision of politics and a vision of the world that doesn't really exist yet. And within that, you have, quite frankly, a theory, a change of the way in which women of color, cis, trans, and all backgrounds have a role in bringing that about. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Because I think, your theory of change, as you've gone along, has actually been proved out.
I mean, we're going to only be able to do this together. It's funny, and when we've talked, and I talk about the term women of color is not a racial identity or anything like that. We have our own identities and communities and nationalities. Mm-hmm. What women of color is a term of solidarity. And we are exercising and lifting up a term of solidarity, which includes everyone, including trans women, including young women, including women who were born in other countries, including Muslim women. And we're looking around to make sure that everyone is here in building a solidarity that's true. And we find ourselves organizing around politics, in a common belief on some values. So the theory of change is we don't have to agree about 100% of the things, but we are only good enough as a coalition and in solidarity when everyone is here, everyone is present. And so part of that is from the very beginning of She the People, we have to have the voices of trans women at the table. And I remember when we launched She the People in 2018, we had Ashley Marie Preston, who at the time was an activist. She had been articulating some of the most profound and important justice issues, economic, racial justice, social justice, gender justice, and was running for California State Assembly at the time. And she was on the stage along with Rashida Tlaib, along with Dolores Huerta and others, holding a space for justice. And I say, we're founded, the politics we haven't seen is a politics fully expressed in a set of shared values. I mean, to love our own and others, to ensure justice is the law of the land, to build a country in which everyone belongs, and to make this American democracy live up to its greatest potential. If we can come together in that, grounding politics based in love, that's something we haven't seen. That's transformation. And it means that everyone is at the table holding, and I would say especially and centrally trans women, holding the important issues of racial, economic, and gender justice issues at the center of how we move forward. And holding that vision is, that's the politics we haven't yet seen, that I believe in deeply, but it's like a faith, it's like a religion. And that we haven't, you have to believe and act in a way that we can help bring it to be. And that's what the work of She the People has been about for me.
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things I think is that since the founding in 2018, as you said, you involved Ashley Marie Preston, who I think probably was running for office at that time, maybe a little earlier in the state legislature in California. I mean, one of the things that you have been really intent in your political vision from the beginning is including trans women of color. And it's unique in terms of political effort. I can't really think of any other political effort or organization that's been so intentful about doing that. And I'm wondering what led you to do that. I mean, you kind of alluded to it in what you just said, but I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit more about why you think that's so central.
Well, the idea of an intersectional way of thinking about that we're enough, that our experiences, our view, our perspectives uniquely qualify us to lead, includes the very powerful and important experience perspectives of trans women. And trans women are women, and we are also very complex. The thing about Ashley Marie Preston, which is so interesting, is remember, Caitlyn Jenner was, coming on the scene, being outspoken. Ashley Marie Preston said no, called out Caitlyn Jenner around issues of racial justice. Mm-hmm. And we have to have the complexity to be able to hold that. I mean, I wanted to make sure that we, when we talk about justice issues, that mm-hmm. That's the complexity that all of our identities stack up. So it's not simply being trans. It's also that Ashley was also Black woman, also an advocate for working people. And like all of these things make her an excellent, excellent leader. And we can look across the country at those who are embracing a justice agenda, those whose personal experience of being excluded, people who have felt the pain of public policy or practice that has excluded people from fully being able to express themselves or enjoy the rights that other Americans enjoy. And these are the people who are closest to the pain and therefore closest to the solutions. And that's why She the People explicitly, if there's not a trans woman, In the House, we aren't having a full view of the possibility for translating our view of justice into reality, into politics, into government, into governing. And that's fundamental for how we're organized.
Yeah, I think, the phrase that you use, we are enough, our experiences are enough, they're valid, they deserve to be heard and seen in the political process, that's a radical vision for women overall, is that everyone's worthy and should be brought in, I think is really, really powerful in this moment. So I'm wondering, what advice do you have to trans women of color, in this case, who are thinking about running for office? What are the invites and the insights that you think are really important, and where would you start in order, if you wanted to run for office, as a resource?
First, I will say that there are, we have such a deep bench of leadership, and often we need to be asked so many times to run for office, and we want to feel like we're ready. So there are networks that we should be tapping into that offer preparation, network support, planning to run for office at every level. Because we often focus, this year we're talking a lot about the president, the White House, we're talking about the Senate, but really a lot of the actions in the state legislatures, in county seats, city councils, the whole fight over public dollars being transitioned from police departments into other kinds of social safety nets, mental health or affordable, those are local fights. And so who runs for school board, city council, state leg, that's going to have the biggest impact on, like, a defund the police, like the being able to translate that into public policy and budgets. Yeah. So my sense of it is, take a look at where it is possible to, like, emerge. Emerge has Emerge America is a training program that's a 6-month long program for potential people who want to prepare to be candidates. And 24 states have Emerge programs, and there have been trans women who have successfully, especially trans women of color, who I'm trying to watch and make sure that we have a space for. The new leader, Ashanti Golar of Emerge America.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful Black woman, and this is our shared philosophy. So Emerge is one place to get training. I will also say that She the People had the honor of including you, Imara, in, we looked around the country and we said, who are the 20 women of color to watch who are creating the platform, the network, the support? It's you. You're named there. You were featured in Elle magazine, and I think joining a network of supportive people who understand the power, who are willing to write checks, who will give, I believe we need to have national visibility even for local candidates. And, the most important advice that I have given to candidates running at every level is to know whose water you're carrying. Why are you doing it? Ask yourself 3 things. Are you the right person? Is it the right time? And is it the right job? And who are you in this fight for? And then surround yourself with people who love you no matter what. And public service is not meant to be all the time, forever thing. But when we're called for public service, know that She the People, we want to know who, the women who are stepping forward, and we want to give lift and support for everyone who's answering a call in this moment.
Wow. Well, Aimee, thank you so much for joining us tonight, for taking out the time during an incredibly busy time during this election cycle. I honestly believe that when the history of this political era is written, that your work and that She the People will be a part of the discourse of what helped us bridge to a new America and a new politics. And you are absolutely a visionary. And this is something that you held to your heart long before you were able to manifest it. And you have brought it into being and continue to lead it. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. And you're going to make me cry. I so appreciate being included in this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that was the one, the only Aimee Allison doing 100 push-ups a day. Who is the founder and president of She the People, an organization devoted to encouraging women of color to run and win, who are both cis and trans, as well as encouraging the leadership of women of color at the local level. Thank you so much.